Okay, it is the 7th of October, and let's look at some pairs. It's been pretty turbulent last few weeks of September. I'm just going to touch on a few pairs which I'm looking at, mainly the Aussie dollar, US dollar overall index, and not really a forex pair, but Bitcoin. So let's have a look at the Aussie dollar. Looking at the Australian dollar index, so this is a makeshift index which I do. We're still in a bearish trend, no change there. I have a target at around 0.70 on the Aussie dollar index. If we look at this as a bear flag, that will be the target based on this AB extension. This will be the CD, which kind of makes sense because that's a major support area in the past GFC period and before that. And we are on track. I don't see any signs of bullish breakout. So still bearish on the Aussie dollar. I still like shorting bounces. I wouldn't play this to the upside because that will be counter trend. However, it's worth noting that in terms of dealers and speculators, dealers are increasing their long positions and speculators are short. So generally, when your dealers are at a very high proportion, around closer to 100%, that one may be the sign of a turn, or at least a short-term bounce, corrective bounce, so to speak. Based on recent RBA action and RBA comments, I don't see the Aussie dollar going bullish anytime soon, and there's already hints of QE in the background. So if Aussie dollar does embrace QE, we're going to see a sharp move to the downside, possibly testing the 0.66 level. So that's the Aussie dollar for me. Moving on to the US dollar. Looking at the US dollar index. So, talked about this in the last video. Trump came in, major sell down in the US dollar. Corrector bounce. Choppy overlapping action. So this is on the daily. And this kind of choppy overlapping action is generally indicative of corrective triangle, which we kind of have here. So, ascending wedge, corrector triangle, 3 taps on the top diagonal. We have a sell-off after the 3rd tap, test of the weekly monthly pivot. What I would like to see is a turn to the downside. My lean is 70% on the downside, and we also just happen to touch the 88 fib and turn from there. We have divergence, negative divergence. So we have what's needed to see the turn here. I still feel this is corrective and not a change in trend, just a corrective bounce. So what we need to see is a break of the monthly weekly pivot, confirmation to the downside, and that'll be bullish for gold. Looking at dealers and speculators, net position for US dollar. Speculators are net long, dealers are short. So I want to be in the position of the dealers, and they're quite significantly short. So that's what keeping in mind. So that's my position on the US dollar. Confirmation would ideally be a break of this wedge. It should take some time. This is a daily chart. But first I want to see a conversion on monthly weekly period and follow-up move to the downside. But we do have a good setup for it. And fundamentally, geopolitically, it supports that movement. So we shall see. Third pair to talk about is Bitcoin. So got my eye on this Bitcoin daily chart. Nice big rise, 14,000. Bit of down channel. Still in the down channel. At the weekly pivot now. But we got good support around 7,005. So I'm looking for us to hit around 7,005. Test that support. And my win is actually bullish from there. I'd like to see a strong bounce from 7,005, potentially to 12,000. Reasonings for this is actually more fundamental than technical. With the trade war and the restriction of yuan to US dollar conversion, there is generally a lot of flight to safety in locals in China converting the yuan to Bitcoin, which would be net bullish for Bitcoin by the laws of supply and demand. So it could be a coin toss on this one, and in terms of the trade talks at least. But trade talks have been going on for over 300 days. And if we don't get a resolution in the next meeting, I would expect that to be very bearish for the US dollar and bullish for the Bitcoin, as we have this flight from yuan to Bitcoin conversions. So, based on those fundamental reasons, and technically we are setting up a divergence, all we need is a nice lower low at around 7,005, 7,006, and we got a good setup for what could be quite a significant bullish move, up to at least 10 to 12,000. What also supports that in trading, and generally whenever I'm trading I look for convergence. Convergence is where you don't just look at one chart and determine how you're gonna trade. You look at another correlation or another positioning, either through COT or through seasonality, to support your trade. And what I use to support my Bitcoin trades is a correlation. I touched on this a while ago, but it looks a bit complex, but basically I correlate Bitcoin to Tesla shares. And I found there's a correlation at least 60 to 70% of the time. And so I just take Bitcoin and divide it by the Tesla share price. And I plot that out, and I add Bollinger Bands. And then I add an RSI and a slow stock. And then I look for RSI and slow stock to correlate with extension of the Bollinger Bands. And that's where I use as guidance for entry in Bitcoin. So, not really rocket science here. The red lines indicate where I had bullish indicators to short Bitcoin. So you have an extension of the Bollinger Band. Way faster to the Bollinger Band extension. You have a high RSI, and you have a high slow stock. So that's my indicator to sell, which is the red line. And if you sold there, yeah, it's caught the lower end of the move, then it bounced, and then it went down again. Inversely, when you have low extension of the lower boundary band, low RSI, low slow stock, that's indicated to buy. So that's a buy indicator. So if you bought there, you would have captured a nice bounce. So it doesn't work 100% of the time, but I like to use this as a tool to verify the trade setups here, and also look at what's the fundamental backdrop at the moment. So you could say 70% technical, 20% fundamental, 30% fundamental. So, based on the slow stock and the Bitcoin Tesla correlation, what do we have here? We have what's approaching a low slow stock and a low RSI. So what I'm looking for is another move down in Bitcoin, 7,500. That would set up a nice lower low on the RSI, a higher low on the RSI, sorry, and a higher low on the slow stock, which would set us up for a kind of divergence, as in a positive divergence on RSI and the slow stock. And if we get a nice extension of the lower boundary, then that would be a bullish indicator, which would be my indicator to buy. So it sounds complicated, but actually it's just a visual interpretation, and it's something that can be easily done. It's just a matter of understanding the correlation. I don't use this 100% of the time. Again, I use this to correlate with a technical setup on the main Bitcoin price action. But in this case, I'm seeing a potential setup. We got nice support here, 7,500. We have correlation. We just need a lower low, which means either we need Tesla shares to go up or Bitcoin to go down, or both, and we could set up a nice buy. And if it's a buy, I would hold to around 12,000. Potentially. That would be my target. Well, I'll take half profit at 10,000 and then the rest at 12,000, but yeah, that's how I like to trade. So that's the three main things which I'm watching. Aussie dollar looking to short on bounces, US dollar looking for the break of the wedge there to the downside, which will be bullish for gold, so I'll be looking to buy gold on the break. Bitcoin looking to buy, waiting for the setup. So yeah, don't take this as trading advice, this is just my own opinion, and just kind of framework on how I trade. As you can tell, I'm not a short-term trader. I don't trade on 1 hour, 2 hours. These things take weeks or maybe even a month to set up. So 1 trade a week, maybe 1 trade a month, that's fine by me. I go for high probability setups. So that's what I'm looking at in October. Yeah. Give me a comment if there's something you want me to look at, but yeah, that's it for now.